friends. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have a special guest, and I'm so excited. Her name is Kristin Sokol, and she is a dating coach. And I think, especially me, I've been divorced for now 4 years. And so I thought, I think I need to talk to her. And it's funny because I was watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. If you guys haven't watched it, it's very entertaining and very dramatic if you like drama. And I usually don't like reality shows, but because this was filmed in Utah and I live in Utah, I thought I better watch this one. And so the last season, she was on one of the episodes. She was the dating coach that they had talking to. Who were you talking to?
I was talking to Taylor, but she brought along Jesse and Miranda.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And they had like a speed dating thing. And if you watch a few podcast episodes, I had Bubba Page. He was also on that episode. He's on my podcast a few weeks ago. Anyways, so I thought I'm going to reach out to her. And so I did. And so thanks so much, Kristin. And Kristin, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to become a dating coach.
Sure. It's such a pleasure to be here. What an honor to be invited. And so nice to meet you, Jennifer. So I got my start. Actually, my career started as a newspaper reporter. I graduated with a degree in public relations and went the journalism route. And this was in the early, my last single friend got engaged to somebody that she met on Yahoo Singles. So that's how long ago this was. You haven't heard that word for a while. So she created a dating profile against my will. She had a digital camera, which was a brand new technology for, and I was off and running. And I found that this shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. My journalistic background made dating online and dating through writing very fun and interesting. I ended up meeting my husband about 4 weeks into this process. Don't kill me. If it makes you feel better, he had been online dating for years. Anyway, so after we got married, we've now been married 22 years. I just loved online dating so much, and it just didn't last very long for me. So I started actively seeking people who would let me help them, right? Or let me even do it for them. My first victim was my freshman year roommate. She was divorced now. She'd had a 7-year marriage that ended. And I created a profile for her, and she found somebody that was great. They have been married now almost as long as I have. After that, she referred a friend of hers to me, and I ran the same program. I didn't know her especially well, but I had all these skills as a newspaper reporter. So I interviewed her and figured out what she was looking for. And then I put together a profile that I thought would attract that specific type of person. And she got married. And then my brother referred one of his coworkers to me, and I helped my brother's coworker, and he got married.
This so much.
Yeah, and I was still a newspaper reporter, I was writing a government beat, local news articles. And so this was far more engaging and entertaining. So I just kind of ran this program for about 5 years. And then one of my clients ended up meeting and marrying a gal that worked for a full service matchmaker. And that was really where everything, the momentum of my life and career really shifted at that point. Working for the matchmaker, I discovered that there was a whole industry, that there was a science and a business behind romance education. And I got to give a lot of credit to this founding matchmaker who brought in skilled experts and pointed me towards science and research that I had no idea existed. And I just became really fascinated by all of it. So I worked for the matchmaker for a couple of years, and then I left to seek more education. I knew that there was something that real coaches knew that I didn't know. And so I did a graduate program, got a certification as an executive coach, which isn't exactly the same thing as date coaching, but actually the process of coaching is pretty universal no matter what the topic. I wanted a little bit more specialty, so I also became affiliated with a professional group called the Global Love Institute. And this is where ethical and reputable matchmakers from all over the country, all over the world meet for continuing ed and for certification and for renewal. And we have a conference every year in Manhattan. It just was a few weeks ago, and I was on a panel at the conference. I presented at the conference, and it's been the place where I have found educated mentors. Like one of my mentors, her name's Dr. Terry Orbach, and she's a university professor in Michigan. She's a marriage and family therapist and teaches the science-based date coaching certification course for the Institute. So she has become actually a friend of mine over the years. We've collaborated together a lot. She has been running this study that's now in its 5th year. So she, as part of her postdoctoral work in the late 80s, she started following 373 couples who all got married in 1986. And originally, the study, which is funded by the National Institute of Health, was intending to follow these couples, 373, for the first 4 years. But the insights and the research has been so robust that it has continually been refunded every 4 years since then. And so there's so much good insight about what keeps people together over time, what causes the end of marriages prematurely. And I have extrapolated a lot of knowledge and wisdom and research-based insights that helps clients in their process of dating. Yeah. So that's a bit about my story and my background.
I love this so much. I have a million other questions. Okay. One thing I did want to ask you. So, what are some mistakes that you find people make when they're trying to get out there? And for me and my clients, we're probably on our second marriage. Some of us
Sure.
are more, but we've been married.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
especially after a divorce.
Very scary.
Yes, that we have a lot of reflexes now that we maybe didn't have originally, right? So I work a lot with clients to shift them away from all or nothing thinking, right? Where they think, oh my gosh, if I get on a dating app, then it means X, Y, or Z, and this is how it's going to end up. Or if I go out with this person one time and he's not as tall as I thought he should be, or he's not located in the area that I thought he would be, or he has kids that are too young or too old, right? We have these ideas about all or nothing, and it really quashes the idea of curiosity. And really, curiosity is what brings good opportunity towards us, right? And we don't have to worry about the end game from the beginning because there are so many steps along the way where we might decide, oh, this is not for me, right? But if we decide this is not for me before we even entertained it for 5 seconds, you can continue to do that. And there's no police here that will stop you, but it comes at a really high opportunity cost because there could be great people who are perfect partners for you, but it just hadn't been in at the time or at the place or at the height or at the location that you thought it might be, away from opportunities before we even know what they are. Yeah.
I totally see this in myself, but it is true. I feel like online dating, though, you see a picture, so you just go off the list. Really, I know for a fact if I went off the list of my first husband from just a picture, I probably would have swiped down on it, right?
Exactly.
But fell in love with his personality, his sense of humor, right? So that's the hard part that I'm finding with online dating.
Yeah, it's a total
Yeah.
package that we end up falling in love with. And you heard me utter in my long diatribe there the word curiosity, and you'll probably hear me say it many more times. When we are looking at a dating app, your very best ally is your curiosity, right? And your biggest liability is conclusions. So I always tell my clients, we need to lead with curiosity instead of conclusions. Because we don't, the reality is we don't know. These are strangers. We have no idea. They may be a saint, right? Or they may be the devil himself. But we can't find out which end of the spectrum that person is on until we have started to instigate a little bit of curiosity. And it doesn't even take that much sometimes, right? But if we will go with our knee-jerk reactions and let them drive the bus, which are, by the way, are rooted in fear, right? And are reflexed based on failure and past experience, but are not thinking necessarily about possibilities, right? Or about opportunities, right? And some of these things that we might approach really are not necessarily about, oh, I'm super interested in this person, but it's allowing ourselves to get closer to that type of person, right? Or to that tribe of places, shifting away just from thinking about dating apps. Like you might get invited to play pickleball, right? And you're not into pickleball, but actually it's not about if you love to play pickleball or if you're really great at pickleball. The thing is, we want to connect you with a network of active, sociable singles that can shimmy back and forth across the court without having a heart attack. That's what we want to get you investing in, is seeing who's there. I don't care at all if you enjoy playing pickleball, but I want you to have these opportunities.
Yeah, I do agree with that because we have to put ourselves in place that you never know. Now, I must say, I did volunteer to go to the Prada homes and help my friend who built this home. And I thought, you never know who I'm going to meet at the Prada homes and meet anyone. But I had that, I'm like, maybe.
But Yeah, so absolutely. And that is definitely the attitude. And anytime you have an opportunity to be in a place where you don't normally go, right? This is a rare opportunity to volunteer or to be at the Parade of Homes. And I would say chances that the next love of your life is going to be at the Parade of Homes at the same time that you are is low. But chances that you meet somebody who could potentially know that person actually are much higher, right? So your opportunity comes from showing up at the Parade of Homes and being friendly and warm and engaging. And some cute gal walks by and you like her purse. You tell her you like her purse and you strike up a conversation and follow each other on social media. And she finds out you're single and then she fixes you up with her brother. And through the Parade of Homes or any opportunity to be in some place, a volunteering gig or somebody else's family reunion, or as people get to know you and they like you and they also know that you happen to be single, that's how you really start to build and activate your own referral network. But sometimes we're thinking all or nothing. Either my love, my life will be also at the Parade of Homes and I'll look good while I'm there. And so we'll find each other in the universe, or it was a total waste of my time. And really, the opportunity is in the middle of those two things where you happen to connect with somebody, you get a business card, and in a follow up conversation, they find out you're single. But first, you find out that you went to the same high school. And that's where the connection gets like we're stoking a fire, where we're putting on pieces of kindling or dry grasses. And that's going to happen always before we start a big log on fire.
So true. I think that's why I like the dating app because you can see who they're friends with, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I like that person, or they're friends with them.
Yes, you can see the mutuals. Yeah, and you know
Yeah.
something.
Just okay. So, would you, if you want to be dating, would you get on all of the apps, or do you think it's better just to have a couple? What do you think?
Say different strokes for different folks. Some people can handle 5 or 6 apps at one time. I know I could not do that. I told you I was at this Global Love Institute conference in New York a couple of weeks ago, and somebody there, one of the speakers, shared some research about what the average is. So if you're a dating app user, the average dating app user is on 3 dating apps at once. So I coach between 4 and 6 clients a day. I've been doing this in some form for about 20 years. And I would tell you from my lived experience, when you are on more than 2 dating apps at a time, my clients get burned out faster. And I would say too fast, right? Because dating app is a passive way, it's an easy passive way to meet people. But if you fire it up and it takes too much time and attention, it feels like it should be producing more good candidates than it really can, then you're going to get aggravated with it and you're going to walk away from it. And so my best advice, rooted in my own experience and opinion too, so take that for what it's worth, is to slow play it, right? And I would say no more than 2 at a time. I do like more than one. Sometimes we get exhaust the one resource where we've seen everybody who's decent on there. And so if we can shift our focus to another one for a couple of weeks while we give the other one time to replenish, that is helpful. But yeah, if we get more than 2, then I find that the burnout factor gets too hot and heavy.
I agree with that. So, if someone meets someone on one of the, and we're going to go on a date, do you have any jobs that we should think about when we're?
Oh, absolutely, I do. Yes, all day, every day. So, first of all, should we do an always and a never thing? I would always have at least a phone call, at least a telephone call before I met anybody in real life, right? Which means you got to give them your number, which many people don't want to do. And my answer to that is, yeah, you do. Just get a Google Voice number or any burner number you want. There's a million different burner.
Right? You could
Yeah, you can always block them, but that doesn't stop them from calling you from another number, right? But if you get a burner number or a Google Voice number, then you can kill that number and they can never reach you.
Okay.
So that would be the advantage.
Okay.
But our brains do a really good job or do a job of filling in the details with what it thinks this person who you're texting is based on your map of the world and the other people that you've known in the world. But you've in reality never met this person and you don't know if he comes from your map of the world. So you can tell more about a person in a 5-minute phone call than you can texting them for weeks. So I love a phone call. I actually love a video chat more, right? Because then you get context of what does their space look like,
Yeah.
right? I'm sending you intentional messages with what my space looks like, and so are you.
Yes.
And we want to gather as much context. Plus, you can validate that this person looks on camera the same way that his photos looked. And so I'm gleaning that
Not
this is a real person.
Zimbabwe.
He's not in Zimbabwe, exactly.
Wherever, like those scammers, right? The catfish.
Yes, the Southeast Asia, that's where the scam farms all are.
Okay.
So that's my always. Do you want to hear a never?
The never I do.
Okay, I would never let my first date go more than 90 minutes, especially if it was going well. Especially if it was going well. And here's why. I have worked with clients for ages, and I don't know how many first dates I've been through. And they come back and they say, "Oh my gosh, the first date was so magical. We closed the restaurant down. We were together for almost 4 hours, and I can't wait to hear from him again." And days go by where they haven't heard from him again. And what happens is when we spend too much time on a first date, there's nowhere for us to grow, right? If he asks you out again and he doesn't have another 4 hours to give you, it might feel like, I don't want to disappoint her, but I don't have another 4 hours to give this, right? And so I don't know what to do. So the first few days of not hearing from them are about their hesitation, about not knowing what to do. And then the next few days are about, oh my gosh, I should have reached out by now and I haven't. And now I don't know what to do. And then you just got ghosted. So if
That's why I didn't tell my kids that. They're like, "Mom, he ghosted you." I was like,
Yes, he ghosted you. You've been ghosted.
"Ghosted."
Yes.
Yeah.
The other problem with staying too long on a first date is we get into some of the vulnerable places that we ought not be. On a first date, if you've been together for 4 hours, we're probably talking about exes and betrayals and stuff that is hard and deep, and it's not fun and sexy. And so chances are that you're going to want to go on a second date are lower because of the first date was we were both in agreement and we shared this dialogue, but now it almost comes with a vulnerability hangover that ends up costing you opportunity in the future. Where if you guys sat at a table for under 90 minutes, and really an hour is probably better, and you found out that you went to the same high school or you went to the same college and you cheered at some of the same football games, and maybe you guys both worked at Subway sandwiches when you were teenagers, and maybe you have a friend in common that you both worked with, and then it was over, like you would be chomping at the bit to talk to that person again. And there would be an immediate reach out of desire and connection and hope for what the next thing could be like. But we reach a point of diminishing returns when we allow the dates that are going well to keep going forever.
Yeah. I definitely made lots of pause on my first date.
We all do. That's why I have work.
Texting, is it appropriate? I don't like the games, right? The thought like, oh, you can't text someone the certain amount of hours or days, or right? Like the kids nowadays have all these rules. But when I grew up, like that, first of all, there was an online dating, and so it's different. Do we need to play those games? Is that important, or is that like what's the rule on all that?
So I would think about this. If you were moving and you were going to put your house for sale, you don't just let somebody come in your house lived in as is, right? You're going to stage it and you're going to make your house shine the way you know that your house can shine, right? So we're going to take pictures from flattering angles and we're going to remove some of the clutter and remove some of the furniture just because it seems bulky, right? And so in a similar way, it is a little bit important to stage your time and your communication with how you onboard somebody. I have a client that lives in Texas and he went on a first date over the weekend and they went to a baseball game. So it was a long first date and they immediately started texting. They held hands on the date. And so now we're entering this relationship territory and we come with this reflex in our bodies. Your ancestors were survivors, right? Mine were too. We have this survival instinct. And what that survival instinct says is safe is maintaining status quo. And so if all of a sudden in a quick manner, somebody is trying to onboard themselves into your life and change the status quo, even if we like them, we sometimes try to resist this happening, right? And so I don't say it's a great idea, just text as much as you want and let it all out. I do think there is a psychological benefit to you giving like not crumbs, right? More than crumbs, but being smart in how you dose your availability to them and what they know about you and the cadence of that communication. So I wouldn't call it a game. I would call it strategy. And I kind of think about it like my clients laugh when I give them this analogy, but my favorite food in the whole world is queso. I just cannot get enough. I love chips and salsa. I love chips and queso even better, right? And when they bring you, you go to a restaurant, they bring you a little dish of queso, right? You maybe get, a half a cup. And it's every bite is a treasure, right? If somebody came and brought me a 5-gallon bucket of case, I would be so overwhelmed, even though it's my favorite thing. I wouldn't want to waste it, but I don't have anywhere to store 5 gallons of cake. I know I'm not going to be able to eat through all of that, right? So I think it's smart for us to not overserve, especially in the beginning. So we could call that games or we could call that strategy, but we're working with the limitations of our own psychology and our own aversion to change.
Yeah, I love that analogy. And that I like strategy so much better than game.
Yes,
It's
yes.
I think a strategy, especially for me, I'm in my fifth thinking getting remarried. I'm gonna be much more strategic and intentional than I was when I got married at 20.
Yes.
Probably, right? Like
Yeah.
I've so much more experience. So anyways, my
Yeah.
process will be different.
And what you'd be attracted to is gonna be
Oh,
totally different too as well.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So, profiles, a few and don'ts of a profile. A good
Yes.
profile has what and what it doesn't have. I can give you what I think it doesn't have, but tell me what you think a good profile has if you're going to set up a dating.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I would tell you that it's really important to begin with the end in mind. Who are we writing to, right? And what is going to bring their responsiveness to your profile? So, and by the way, there's different strokes for different folks out there, right? And before we started recording, we were talking about chest hair and, beer
Yeah,
belly. And some gals are probably into that. It's not you.
sure. Yeah.
So we've got to think about what it is that you're trying to attract. And then we want to put together a profile that illustrates that you are a catch for that person. And we're going to use items, so photos and also blurbs that are going to be irresistible. They'll have to respond to them, right? And that's really what makes a good profile is when you are thinking of your end user and what would bring them into a conversation with you. So it's different for everyone, no matter just depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Well, Kristen, it was so nice having you. I have a million more questions, but we might have to have you back on because I've been
Love to.
seeing a lot of people listening to this. It's going to be helpful. It's so helpful for me. I'm like, okay, I think I need a dating coach. If someone wants to find you and get information about you, how would they do that?
Sure, a couple ways. I'm on Instagram, Kristin Sokol. That's a very fancy handle there.
Okay, that's okay. Sokol is spelled SOKO.
Yep.
And
And
then with an
Kristen with an IN. Yes.
okay,
Well, Justin with an IN. Everybody wants to
okay,
spell Kristen with an EN, but that's not
yeah,
the.
that's not the right way.
And then I also have a website, which is Calm.
Okay,
On my website, I have a contact me form. I have a start here form. You can read all about the services that I offer. I have a group coaching cohorts that the doors are not always open for that. I'm actually just starting a group tomorrow. So it might be a few weeks before my doors are open again, but always good idea to get on the waiting list. And then I do work with people one-on-one as well, where I have a lot of insights and almost like a curriculum that really helps daters, kind of no matter where you are, do a reset and a rethink. We have reached some of these conclusions a long time ago and for very valid reasons, but those conclusions are now outdated, right? They've reached a point of diminishing returns. And so really my main job as a dating coach is to help people see what's working for them and let's do more of it. Let's maximize it and then see what's not working for them. And let's find a way around some of these obstacles. And I do that through one-on-one or group coaching, or you can just follow me. I'm happy to be a thing, or you're so good to have an email list and keep in touch with people. I'm not the greatest at that, but I am always putting out content on socials and for my clients.
awesome. Thank you so much. I hope everyone found this as helpful as I did. And, anyways, thanks so much for being here today. And I will talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.